Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and especially have more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman from Contractor Staffing Source, where we help clients that are mostly contractors build great teams. Brock Fankhauser from 1776 is my guest today. So Brock, tell me, what is 1776? Great year.
1776.
I know what the year is. I mean, I'm an American.
Well, it was a year 248 years ago, but more than that, 1776 to us, it's a brand that we've created. We actually trademarked 1776 last year, and the goal of ours was to promote patriotism. We're land developers and home builders in the Carolinas. We've been doing that for 25 years, and we opened up this 1776 brand as a name for just one community in suburban Charlotte. And it became viral, and it exceeded our expectations. And it told us that there's a secret sauce here to rolling this out nationwide to other builders and developers who would likely experience the same viral response that we got.
Can you explain a little bit about what you meant by a viral response? What happened actually?
Yeah, when we announced our neighborhood, as anyone would do with a community, there's a press release and there's, just an event that kind of marks the beginning of that neighborhood. When we did that, we were picked up by Fox News, and Fox News asked for an in-studio interview of myself. And when that happened, it continued with Fox Business and Media Matters and Newsmax and NPR radio and NBC, and it went on and with all this tier one media coverage. And it just told us that we had something here that was special. And from that point on, which was about 8 months ago, we've built it into this brand that has the ability to scale to companies beyond those that we control. And so we're trying to make this a movement that celebrates America, celebrates where we've come from, and celebrates where we're going.
Okay. So tell me about, what does a brand mean to you? What does a brand 1776 mean to you? And why is a brand so important?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, being in housing for 25 years, we've never really created a brand. We create nice communities. We serve our clientele well. But at the end, of our work, do you really have a brand? No. What I found with 1776, when you have a brand, people know what you're serving or what you stand for without even talking. And so those logos behind me and the logo you see on the shirt, to most people, certainly there's maybe a follow-up discussion, but they know where we stand, and people can identify with like-mindedness with the fewest amount of words possible. So we picked a date that is known to all Americans. It's a date that we celebrate on the 4th of July every year and come together in parades and cookouts and things like that. So to us, this brand, which we didn't know we had until it kind of went viral, there's a definite responsibility with that, and making sure that you're preserving things that our predecessors found important, and we're leading the pathway to other people who are going to take the lead on this and grow this movement. One thing I'll point real quick, Paul, is super important to us as part of this brand, that it be detached from anything political. No political figures, no political ideologies, no political parties, and we're going to keep it that way forever, leading this to just a brand that represents traditional-minded America.
Because both Republicans and Democrats celebrate 1776, right? It's like,
absolutely.
Nobody's not going to go to 4th of July parade, right? I mean, it stands for America, and you can ask either party. They may stand, the right or the left may, well, we stand more for America. Well, we stand more for America, but nobody's going to argue if they stand for America, right?
It's a myth that one side represents more of American values than the other. There's a huge swath of people who they know what the past was like. They like it because they still live here, and they plan on continuing to live here because they like it. We've just been allowing, patriotism is one of those things that if you don't do anything to serve it, it's probably not going to maintain its peak. And we just recognized it some time ago that America is sick right now. There's a little bit of suffering going on. And I think the medicine that this country needs is just simple Americanism. It's patriotism. And there's lots of people that identify with that.
And patriotism is not a political issue, because I'm sure both Republicans and Democrats would say they're very patriotic. It's not a matter of, political side. So now the good news, I think, is you stepped on a brand that everybody already identifies with. It's like, God, motherhood, and apple pie. I mean, it's, everybody believes in that stuff, right? So, and you've taken that brand and put it into construction, right? So, how does that work? I mean, I think branding is really important. And what I see to hear to a lot of people is branding is a very difficult thing to do for small companies. Because if you look at McDonald's or, any major franchise, even Costco, whatever, or Starbucks, they have a brand and everybody knows what that is. And so when you're a small builder and you're competing with, I'm not saying Lennar or whatever, but they've got a brand and you don't. And if you say, I'm AAA construction, like, who cares? That was in the phone book, right? So how do you get companies to, I mean, what do you do to brand them? Is it like a franchise, or is it like, how do you charge for what you do, and what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, first I'll say with a McDonald's or a Starbucks or a national home builder that has billions of dollars, right? They know how to squash competition. So part of their brand is occupying as many corners as they can and decreasing competition, because it's hard to compete with billions of dollars. We certainly don't have it, and
Right.
we're held to those same challenges. But with a brand in real estate, we think that identifying like-minded consumers, identifying like-minded tradespeople, identifying like-minded people in any discipline in housing, it's easier when you're part of something that's bigger than what you currently can be. It's a licensing play in our world, but it feels more like a franchise in that two is one and one is none. And so if, we've spent a lot of time on branding through colors and imagery and merchandise like you see here, but it's more of an ethos. So that if we expand our licensing beyond home builders and developers into remodelers and contractors and tradespeople, we think that if they put that approved 1776 trade partner, consumers will see that and know, oh, I might want to give them a call because I identify with their core values.
Well, sort of the old days, a good housekeeping seal of approval. I remember that. Remember, same kind of thing.
Yeah,
So it stood for something, right?
it stood for something. And when you're on your own on an island with competitors that have more A's in their name than you do, and they get listed first in the phone book, I mean, as an example, it's hard to scale your company. We believe more than anything, being part of this brand, not only it makes you feel good, but the bottom line is we want you to grow your business. And so that happens when more eyeballs are attracted to your company. So as we've rolled out our website and we've rolled out a social media platform, the eyeballs are going with it. It wasn't just 6 weeks ago. I think we had 300 followers on Facebook on the 1776 community. Today, it's above 6,000. And so we're starting to see this growth, growth leads to growth. And these are things that we just couldn't have done on our own in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So if you have a vision of building a national brand around construction and those values.
We do. Yeah, our mission statement makes it clear we want to be in all 50 states. And again, appealing to as many as we can. The number of people that came up to us in Las Vegas at the International Builder Show from California was way more than I ever thought. There's a yearning for this, and they will seek it out. And it tells me if you're a tradesperson in California, do you know how many people identify with this? Mm-hmm. Right? It's millions of people. And yet, if you're exposed to any type of, press or media, you're not going to see that. but we sure as heck saw it with our own eyes in Las Vegas. And it just tells us that, one, this is serious. We have to take this seriously. But two, we have a duty to grow this to people who otherwise wouldn't know that this space exists. And with that comes scale. And
Right.
certainly we'll never be on every street corner like a McDonald's or a Starbucks, but we can have recognition that doesn't currently exist with other tradespeople out there.
Well, it's sort of like brands builds brand too. I mean, if you have 50 people that have your brand versus 2,000 people that have your brand, it's obviously better. Now, what are the mechanics of getting the 1776 brand if I'm a home builder or I'm a remodeler, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it's a discussion for starters. We want to know a little bit about your business. Where'd you come from? Where are you today? Where you're going? We want to learn a little bit about your vision of America, making sure there's brand alignment there. We want to make sure, you take care of customers, because with a brand, because it's a serious responsibility, it can go sideways real quick. Tainting of a brand can happen. And we have to do our best to prevent that, maybe not eliminate it, but to prevent it as much as possible. So getting to know these brand partners and then how we can help them if they are prepared for growth. That's what we think the end result here is. Your company today looks different than it will tomorrow by way of growth. And do you have the systems in place to be able to scale responsibly that growth for your company? Because ultimately, if there's more eyes on our business tomorrow than there are today, that usually translates into more leads. And leads is what we're all looking for.
Right. So what is your vetting process for a 1776 person who's applying for your brand?
Yeah, internally we have a Sherpa on board, who is that person that's going to help people up the mountain. But that's once they've already decided to join us and they've been approved. The vetting process, I mean, it starts with an examination of financials. That's probably the best way to learn about a company without really knowing much about it. But it goes beyond that. Site visits, right? If we have someone in California that is interested in the brand, we're going to go see them. We want to see their operations, and maybe AI someday can be that tool that lets us vet a company. That's not in play today. So it's just eyeballs on the ground and using our experience being in business for 25 years. Do you have the ability to carry this torch, to carry it responsibly, to take care of your customers, and ultimately grow?
Now tell me a little bit about, well, you've been in business for 25 years, Brock. What does that mean? How many houses have you built? What kind of communities have you built? A little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I am a second generation developer and home builder. My dad is now 77 years old, still active in the land development and home building business in multiple states. So I kind of have the genetic disposition of being an entrepreneur and a land developer. But I began at age 25. I didn't know anything. I've learned a lot by failure and trying not to make those mistakes a second time. Over the years, though, I've built a little bit more than 1,000 homes, probably approaching 25 neighborhoods now. And everything that we've done up to this point has been 55 and older, kind of that active adult segment. Most of the neighborhoods in North and South Carolina. And growth for me, like a national home builder would grow from the Carolinas to Georgia, to Tennessee, to
Right.
Oklahoma. We don't have the means to do something like that, but I've always yearned for a larger growth model. Licensing is an interesting way that we can get there, working together with other companies who have the same vision for growth. But maybe, if we're going to be honest about people in our industry, they tend to be pretty weak when it comes to marketing.
Well,
Builders, in my
they're usually
experience.
tradespeople that have been trying to make the transition between craftsman to entrepreneur, which is not easy. And in general, what I see happening, and maybe this ties in a way, Brock, is there's a lot, and this is how I think AI is affecting the industry, which made a big thing. I think the question is, what industries will AI disrupt first, right? It's going to be anybody selling information for money. Doctors, attorneys, schools. anybody where your phone with AI on it can do the same as a doctor and attorney. I've got a guy fighting a whole legal battle with ChatGPT right now. So that industry is getting disrupted radically, right? Well, then where does the capital go? You know, these guys got millions and millions of dollars. What do they do with it? What I see happening, and maybe this applies to you too, is it's going into the trades. AI can't put on a roof. It can't frame a house. It can't. There's a lot of things AI is not going to do for the next 15 years. It's information based. It is not performance based. So all those industries that are, you know, roofers, plumbers, house builders, that kind of stuff, there's a ton of capital going in there. Because in fact, I have one guy who had like 10, 15 million bucks. He says, I'm going to start a roofing company in Nebraska. Why? Well, he says, I can own the market. He says, I know how to brand. I know how to find good people. And the guys there, old guys, are going to go out of business or retire. The young guys don't have the cash that I do. I'm just going to own the roofing business in Nebraska in 4 years, which is best use of my money. I see that happening more and more in the construction industry. So maybe this is part of what you're doing in a way, because if you can build a brand that stands for something, that's a way of consolidating this industry to where marketing, I mean, this is my personal belief. I think most people that succeed in this country, at least this country, are marketing companies that fund their marketing with some kind of product or service. And they get it.
Yeah, again, can you have your product or what you do for a living identified without even communicating words? That's a brand. And you made some great points about AI. AI will never fix a leaky faucet. It will never make someone's dream kitchen come true in the flesh. And at the same time, right, I know there's going to be a resurgence to the trades, because if you look at the barrier to entry and the expense for college, when you can become in the trades industry at age 17 or 18, by the time your peers who are graduating college with hundreds of thousands of debt, you're already earning income, you're learning the ropes, and you are doing real things that a real economy has needed, will need, and will always need.
Right. So how does your licensing work? I know this has been a highly fractionalized industry for the last 200 years, and it hasn't changed. But obviously, retail, we got Walmart, we've got a lot of food industry, we got McDonald's. So a lot of industries have consolidated and franchised because they're better at marketing and distribution and other kinds of things than the small guys are. That hasn't happened in construction yet, but I think it's about to. So I think, where there used to be 20 roofing companies, there's going to be 3 that are owned by big companies, and so I think this might be a sort of defense against that in a way, because you can compete with the branding play with somebody who comes in and has more cash than you do and knows more branding than you. If you can get somebody who's already got that play done, I think it gives a little guy an advantage that he doesn't have without it.
It is the antidote to consolidation. Consolidation freaks me out when I look at the landscape of every industry in America. That's all it's headed toward, is consolidation. And there's nothing more anti-American than consolidation. This is a solution to that, where we have tons of businesses, independent businesses, who remain independent. You have your own sovereignty, much like what our founding fathers expected of our nation. You have your sovereignty, but then you have backing. Consumers know who you are before you even say anything. And that's something that I can't recall being part of, the small business landscape. And I think it's the consumers out there. Yes, certainly there's going to be some that love going to those big names, but there's others who appreciate small, locally grown businesses that have been there, right? That were raised there. They know friends and family members, but give them the ability to scale beyond what they can do today. That's American. That's Americanism to me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, American wasn't designed to serve big corporations. At least our founding fathers didn't put it that way, right?
Everything with checks and balances, right? We were taught that in school, and that's kind of going away right now, and certainly is going away in business. And the companies who have figured that, they love it, right? Their balance sheets get fatter and fatter, and we always are, everyone who's in part of small business knows an element of struggle. How do we go after that? How do we fix that?
Well, I think a
right?
national brand makes sense if it promotes small business. So what does the licensing look like? You pay a percentage of gross. I mean, what does the licensing play look like for you guys?
For home builders, because that was our intended first target market, you pay per house that you build. So it's you get revenue, we get revenue. And then there's, some renewal fees that go throughout, but it's as pretty simple as it's tied to a revenue event. We get into contractors, remodelers, tradespeople. It's probably tied to some component of their revenue. It would have to be at this point a case by case basis. So we're handling those just kind of on individual trade discussions that we have because we didn't expect this to roll out in the
Well, I mean,
manner that it has and
to
the
me, see, it's a
scale.
real
Yeah.
opportunity for people. Like, for example, let's say I want to be the first, 1776 HVAC company in Ohio, whatever, and you pick one, right? I think that has a lot of value to it. Now, are you going to do territories, or do you have any plan for how that's all going to work?
Yeah, our license agreement now contemplates a protected territory. That's again one of those things that has to be discussed. We want to learn a little bit about your footprint now. If it's a large metropolitan area, maybe protection of that entire area is too much. Or if you're
Right.
in a small town and you need a bigger area, those are things that come into the discussion as we analyze demographics, your future growth plans and things like that. But most certainly, all licenses will come with some form of territory protection.
Well, to me, Brock, this is like a real quote ground for opportunity, right? Because you got something that's gone viral, and there's nobody that I know has really built many successful franchises, maybe a layer, but nobody has been able to successfully franchise remodeling industry. They've tried. There's a couple, like Alaire's got 120, but there isn't many. It isn't like there is a Walmart and there's a Start. They don't exist in this industry yet. They may in the future, but they don't yet. So to me, it's a great opportunity for people to get on board in the very beginning. And so I would think if people, rather than building your own brand, like I'm going to be AAA, remodeling or construction in Toledo, Ohio, to jump on the bandwagon for this, no pun intended, right? Makes a lot of sense because you've got something that's gone viral. The thing is with 70, you've got it says a lot without words, as you said. When you say I'm a 1776 HVAC contractor, people expect something of you, right? The word itself, patriotism, you're not like, you're based on what this country was founded on, right? That's your principles are the same principles. And I think if you're attracted to those principles, you'll be attracted to that brand, right?
Yes. Yeah, and when we rolled out, as most companies do, when you start core values and a mission statement, as we were writing them, I thought, wait a minute, these core values not only apply to the employees of my company, they apply to anyone who's going to license this. They apply to anyone who's going to buy a house from us. Heck, it applies to anyone who just wants to buy a t-shirt off of our website. That's
Right.
what a movement is, when we all buy into the same values, and they're not
Right.
very complicated. I
Yeah.
mean, they're reduced
You
down to
probably
the
just read
simplest
you
thing.
could read the Declaration of Independence, you're there, right? I mean, the document's
You're
already
there.
there, right?
It's already there.
There's the core
Yep.
values right there. They've been done around for a long time, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Okay. Well, Brock, this is fascinating. If people want to contact you and get, sort of get in the ground floor of this viral startup kind of branding thing and maybe compete against the big guys that are going to, like try to consolidate this industry, how do they get in touch with you?
They go to 1776community.com. We got a brand new website. It's pretty easy to navigate. You want to call us, email us, see some of the videos where we've had some of that tier one media exposure, see some of our branding. It's all right there, Paul.
Great. Well, Brock, thanks. Hey, I think anybody who wants to fight the consolidation movement, which I think is going to happen in this industry, I think we finally have a potential solution, which you should definitely look into.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate it. Nice seeing
Thanks,
you.
Brock. I appreciate you being here.